And service in Times Square is up and running this morning following that massive water main break that dumped nearly 2 million gallons of water at one of the city's major subway hubs. Transit crews spent the day clearing out the water, checking the tracks and signals to restore service. Several stations were closed while crews inspected the damage. So an estimated 300,000 commuters were impacted by that water main break.
So the Department of Environmental Protection will continue working now above ground to repair that water main, right? You saw that big hole that's still in the middle of the street. Joining us this morning is New York City Transit President Richard Davey to update us on any long-term impacts that the water main break will have on subway service. So good to see you this morning.
Good morning. Welcome. Thank you.
What a mess that was. Almost 2 million gallons of water heading
Indeed.
down. Talk about service is up and running, so that's good news this morning.
It is.
But talk about the long-term effects this may have caused and some of the damage that you saw yesterday firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is there aren't long-term damages, which is great. I mean,
Good.
we had about 150 maintenance away crews down there yesterday who did just a fantastic job of getting that service back. When you hear 1.8 million gallons, you're thinking, how many days is it going to take us to get the service back? I mean, it was hours, so kudos. Kudos to them. We did some work overnight as well, so we tried to get the service back as quickly as we could. We got it back a little before 11 yesterday morning. And again, some behind-the-scenes work that we were doing overnight, but no impacts to our customers. But I've learned in this job, you have to expect everything, and when called upon to respond. Again, I can't say enough about the crews that responded yesterday.
When you hear 127 years old, that's crazy. And chances are, and more likely than not, that there are more water mains like this surrounding our subway system. So what is the chance that this could happen again? And how much maintenance do you do, like to check on these water mains to make sure that this isn't going to happen tomorrow? Yeah,
I mean, so, running one of the oldest subway systems on the planet myself, I mean, I'm not immune to old infrastructure for sure. I mean, I think for the DEP, two things as it relates to subways. One, to your point, is making sure that major water mains around our subway system are constantly being checked, constantly being inspected and upgraded if they need to. The other thing that I've learned here is that with DEP and working with DEP is a stormwater, right? So when there is a major rain incident, it doesn't even have to be a big coastal storm or storm surge, but just major rain. Where does it go? If the if the sewer system and the water system in the city can't handle it, it ends up in the subway. So working with them to make sure that the sewer systems as well can handle that water is also important.
Yeah, I mean, and certainly that's why you're able to really pump that water out so quickly. You have experience with water in tunnels. That is a reality that you face.
Yeah.
But let's talk about yesterday, because I heard you say something, which was that you wish the main would have been shut off earlier.
Yeah.
It took 90 minutes. So what's the communication between you and DEP there?
Yeah, so obviously we work closely with them. I don't know exactly why it took 90 minutes. I think if there was an issue, certainly if there's an issue in New York City Transit, where I was doing an after-action review, what could we have done better? In fact, we're doing that yesterday. Like, there are always ways we can improve. As I said, I think we did a heck of a job yesterday, but there might be one or two things we can learn from this. My hope is DEP will do the same. To look to see, could we have shut that water off more quickly? Because minutes matter. I mean, with 1.8 million gallons of water, even 10 or 15 minutes, you can imagine, would reduce the water pretty significantly. So,
do you have inspectors out there today?
We have folks out there today in our communications rooms and a few of our other rooms, just to make sure that there are no residual issues as you raised. We haven't seen any, which is good news. But in an event like this, we always sort of, let's just say, behind the scenes position crews to make sure that there isn't something we didn't detect.
Right.
But as I said, so far so good.
And we're looking at the live images right there as the construction begins above ground. But this could have been a whole lot worse given the time of day as well, because it was the early morning hours before the morning rush. While we have you here, though, I do want to pivot to another big topic, if you don't mind, and that is, of course, subway safety, which is on the mind of so many people, right? So yesterday was one thing, but safety is a whole other issue to get people back on the train. Ridership numbers going up, but not where you'd like them to be, as I understand, right? We saw an incident just the other day of a man setting newspapers on fire in a subway station. How do you restore the faith in people that they're safe when they ride the system?
Yeah, so a few things. I mean, number one, just looking at the data and statistics, right? So crime is actually down in the subway system about 4.5% from last year. And if you look at over the last 30 years of subway crime, it's among the lowest in the last 30 years. So that's one. But two, I mean, look, if you were, a victim or a subject of an incident or observed something like that, that could be disconcerting. I definitely understand that. I mean, I've a couple things. We've been working very closely with the police department, so NYPD has been a terrific partner. We have cops out all over the system, cops, camera, and care that the mayor and the governor announced last year continues. We have cameras everywhere. I mean, I like to make the joke that We have more cameras than a Las Vegas casino in New York City Transit. We have over 10,000 in our subway system alone, another 30 or 40,000 in our bus network. If you do something wrong, we will find you.
Okay.
There's no doubt about that. But we're constantly looking to see what else we can do. Getting station agents out of the booth, that was a big initiative we launched last year. So having more eyes and ears in our platform as well to report things. And then I think lastly, there is a mental health crisis, right, in this city, but in this country, not just in New York City. And so finding ways to continue to get folks the help they need, and that gentleman lighting fires, I can only imagine, that there's a mental health issue there.
And we have a reporter this morning on a subway shove at the Chambers Street station.
Yeah, and we have, by the way, the photos of that individual. I have no doubt we're going to find him in the coming hours, if not days, with NYPD. And our hope is there that the DA will throw the book at him for sure. But one assault, one crime is one too many in our system. And again, working with NYPD to address that is our top goal. So stats show good news, but to your point, if we need to make sure we're continuing. Our customers are telling us they feel safer, which is good, but we still have work to do.
We've run out of time. Could I just ask you a quick question?
Sure.
We're talking about subway shoves, the subway platform doors. Where are we on that? I've seen some construction being done in some stations.
So we haven't started construction on that yet. The requests for proposals are going out later this year. I think we've identified 3 stations. I will tell you it is incredibly complex for a number of reasons, which is why we're going to pilot it at just a handful of stations and see how it works. But I think you'll probably start to see some construction next year at this point.
What's going on in 14th Street then?
So we have we have construction all over the place, right? So
the whole platform was. I figured that was what it was.
No. So I think at 14th Street we have certainly a ton of elevators, right? So we're doing a ton of work to get our system accessible all over. We have a track, big track project on the F line right now in Roosevelt Island. Signaling is another one. So we have antiquated signal systems, and so with a system that's 119 years old, not quite as old as that pipe.
Seriously, right?
Not quite as old. We've got a lot of work to do.
All right, New York City Transit President Richard Davey, appreciate you being here to talk about all of these issues. Keep us posted. Come on back, all right?
I will.
We're gonna bug your guy over here to get you back.
And you have a lovely studio, so I'd love to come back.
All right.
He's rolling his eyes at me now. 7:40.